Hey MVPs and anybody else watching this video on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, whatever platform you use to watch my content. Thank you for being here. I'm going to talk to you guys about Thursday's games and the results, and I'm going to actually show you the chart that the MVPs get. I've cut out everything else except for Thursday results, or except for Thursday plays and whatnot. But let's talk about each game. Let's go over it. What did we learn? And then we'll move on from there. Okay, so first and foremost, I'll start with Wake Forest and North Carolina. If you're looking at Wake Forest, North Carolina, I told you guys Justin Fonboy just transferred in. They like Kevin White a little better. Kevin White's the dual threat kid who can actually run the ball a little bit. He obviously finished with negative rushing yards because you're playing a daunting front seven from Wake Forest. But the thing that concerns me about all this is North Carolina A&T is one of the best rushing attacks in America, at least at the FCS level. They're probably top 20. And you see Kenji Christian here, the star running back from Virginia Tech, going for over 100 yards and a touchdown, averaging 7 yards a carry. This is very concerning. This should not be happening to Wake Forest. On the flip side, Hank Bachmeier played lights out. He should probably be the starter. Let's not hear about splitting time and doing things. Hank Bachmeier, 3 touchdowns. He's done this before. He is a starting quarterback. Believe in him. That's how we feel about it. I already understood that Taylor Moore, I believe he's a Tennessee transfer. Or no, he's been at Wake Forest forever. I'm tripping, bro. Who was I thinking of right now? No, Taylor's been here forever. I was thinking of somebody else. Nonetheless, shout out to Wake Forest for trying to get it done when they could. If you remember the chart, I was on a lean on this, and I felt like they would have the under because I thought they would shut out North Carolina A&T. That did not happen. They did not look competitive in that regard, and we missed. By the way, if you're an MVP and you're wondering, how do you make money doing this? Like, how do you get it right? Because you got it wrong, or a lot of you guys are in the red after last night's game against Colorado and North Dakota State. A lot of you guys, I don't know how you get down, but look at the picks against the spread here. There are 8 games picked, 8 games, and it's 50-50 everywhere. So you lost money. No, you lost way more than this. And that's because I can't control what you guys do with your money. That's your business. But if you were to put a unit here, a unit here, a unit here, a unit here, and a unit on each one of these, you'd actually be up because these are plus 100 or better, theoretically. If you skipped these and you only did value bets, congrats to you. Those guys are up. And I already got DMs from those guys. Tell me, Rico, you got it right. I can't believe this. Now, Sacramento State shit the bed late at night. It happens. They had the lead and they blew it. Lafayette never showed up to play. I cannot predict some of the things these guys are going to do, whether it be fumbles, coaching decisions, not going for it on 4th down, missed field goals, whatever. But it feels pretty good when I tell you the only 2 entrants on this list for the value bets were the only 2 hits here were 2 games where I said my metric and my assessment of talent tells me these teams are better. Nothing in the news, nothing in injury reports. I didn't care who was the starter. We have a guy on the Discord server. He's like, hey, Rico, so-and-so is going to be starting. I'm like, dude, I don't care. He's like, you think I'm lying? Number 2 running back's Marcus Major. I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. That doesn't impact the win-loss total. Like, it doesn't make it any better. Whether it was Darius Taylor or anybody else, I don't care. I'm on North Carolina. Now they win by a missed field goal at the end. I don't care. Like, I have a metric. I have a chart that I created all summer long, all off-season long, and I have to really believe in my assessment method. And that was an example where I added these to the chart simply because of the metric. These other 2 were FCS to beat FBS, and they didn't get it done. It's tough. Over here, I switched. The red text means I switched. I switched from the under to the spread. Here's what you need to know. Both of them hit. If you were on the under earlier in the week and you did the spread, or you didn't get a chance to do the under or the spread late, you still hit. Doesn't matter. So that's 2 on there that I hit regardless. And then over here, I add Missouri late because in my free show, I talked about Missouri is playing the worst team in America in Murray State. Murray State is gross. Now, the worst team in America might be Arkansas Pine Bluff, but Murray State's really bad. And Missouri goes out there and covers the spread 51-0. I expected that. When you see me doing a late ad or you see red text is good. Red text is a change from the original chart. Red text is good, and we got it right. And the only thing I regret is I was on North Dakota State all summer, and I got off it. You win some, you lose some. But this should have been a unit bet, whatever it is. Like, you got to pace yourself. When I hear people saying I'm down $300, that means nothing to me. I don't know if $300 is a unit to you or $300 is 10 units to you. I don't know. I don't know if $300 means you can't bet again for the rest of the week. That is not my problem. That is mismanagement of your resources, of your bankroll. But I'm telling you, people should be up right now if they're paying attention, and I don't think they are. Now, we'll get to the prop chart here in a little bit, but let's go back to the game. Congratulations, Wake Forest. You win the game. I was not impressed. You should have shut them out. You shouldn't let a running back average 7 yards a carry against you. I was not impressed by this game at all. Shout out to Hank Bachmeier. Get it together. Did they want to keep it vanilla? Maybe. Next game, pretty impressive. They eventually get there. UCF going out, putting up 23 in the second quarter, 28 in the third quarter, shutting it down towards the end of the game, not trying to run up the score. I'm with you. KJ Jefferson going out here, dominating. You bring Ja'Cory Brown in to finish the game. This is the Miami transfer. I believe in Ja'Cory Brown one day. He's still not looking great. It is what it is. RJ Harvey getting his 100. Penny Boone getting 81. Look at these guys, averaging 10 yards a carry. Swiss cheese, bro. Easy game. Miles Montgomery, the transfer, coming in from Cincinnati, doing his thing. 8 carries, 77 yards. He has to be feeling pretty good with the touchdown. I bet if you could bet on that stuff, it would have been great. But they gave us no prop bets on this game. We couldn't bet on it. Okay. On the flip side, New Hampshire just didn't belong on the field. Didn't belong on the field with UCF. Doesn't really tell me anything. I already knew UCF was great. One thing you don't see here, Xavier Townsend was barely used. He's still one of the best receivers on this team. Obviously, Kobe Hudson's a beast, but they didn't have to do much. They could throw a screen pass to Miles Montgomery. He's going to take it to the house. They could do whatever they want. It was great. But losing a fumble, Ja'Cory Brown, bad. Here's Deshaun Pace. Everybody talking about Deshaun Pace getting the starting job. Came out to show out, led the team in tackles. It's games like this, though, everybody gets to play. You see it. Everybody's. Even, who's that? Fagan's right there? Ooh. Former Alabama kid. All right. Nijak Kelly here. They got studs, and they didn't even have to use them all. So, more power to them. Deshaun Pace with an interception as well. Came out to play. Xavier Townsend, like I said, superstar, just doing the return game thing. But UCF gets it done. Congrats. Didn't bet on them, but they covered the spread. Buffalo beat Lafayette. It happens. Pick an FCS, and all you guys were on it, and I'm like, hey, sprinkle that. Don't go crazy. It's a long shot in the dark. It was the largest odds of any of the value bets, and we took a shot at it. Jamar Curtis could not run the ball. This is an All-American, man. For him to only get 12 yards is crazy. I've seen Jamar Curtis, and he doesn't look. This is a 1,500-yard rusher, almost 1,500 yards rushing, and he shows up for 12 against a MAC team. Yeah, that was highly disappointing. I was getting updates on this game from the MVPs. Ogbonna played great, threw the ball, did everything he needed to do. I don't believe in Ogbonna as a quarterback. I just don't. Running back room's all new. Went out there and just dominated. It was a trench. It was a mismatch in the trenches for sure. So, nonetheless, Sean Dullock, tackling machine, coming back. Remember, he's the transfer, left Buffalo, went to Utah State for the winter, then came back. Marcus Fuqua, who I think I know he won't make it in the NFL, but I think he's an NFL caliber player. I really do. I like Marcus Fuqua a lot. And you have Shane Dullock here. So, pretty good studs on defense, getting it done. Congratulations to Buffalo. They're a really well-coached team to go out there and dominate like that. Bowling Green. I told you guys I'm high on Bowling Green this year. I believe they're one of the top 4 teams in the MAC. I believe Connor Bazelak's going to take that step forward. Pretty good in his accuracy. I'll take it. Getting to bring in some backups and things. But Terrion Stewart's the guy. If we're ever going to bet on somebody to get 100 yards in a game in the MAC on Tuesdays, it's Terrion Stewart. 3 touchdowns, 161 yards. This is not a fluke. I understand they're playing an FCS team. He's a beast. Jason Patterson's actually pretty good too. Looks like he ran into some trouble. Justin Pegasus runs back the opening kickoff for 100 yards. Congratulations. Harold Fannin Jr. goes and does his thing like I told you he would. He's going to lead this team in receiving no matter what. It's one of the best tight ends in America, number 44. Watch him on the field. Believe in him. And then defensively, Ship gets a bunch of tackles. You see a couple of sacks here from Anthony Hawkins. I really like this team. I think they're built to win in the MAC. I really do. We'll see what happens. Fordham's not a bad team, by the way. Central Michigan, who came out here and lit you up. Joe Labus, I've never believed in this guy. He's a transfer from Iowa. Terrible quarterback, but here he is. Played great. I think this might be one of the worst teams in America this year. Central Connecticut Blue Devils look atrocious. The only way they scored was a pick six, I believe. Let me double check that. I mean, we watched it. No, it wasn't a pick six. How did they score? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to go look at the game cast. Doesn't matter. The point is they were out without their starting running back, Central Michigan, and they still came out here and did the damn thing. I don't understand how there's that big of a gap between Central Connecticut and Central Michigan, but there is. Congratulations to them. They went out there to play. Remember Stephen Bracey? Ooh, that's a transfer from Wisconsin. Shout out to him. Pruitt should probably have a bigger year and have more production moving forward. Jesse Pruitt's a beast. Pruitt the third. Really like the kid. Looking around. Jonah Pace gets two and a half tackles for loss in the season opener. Not bad. Fernando Sanchez, my hidden gem on this team. 3 tackles, half a sack. This is my guy right here. I really believe in him. Shout out to Grayson here in Georgia. Next game, Arkansas. We got it. Arkansas shows up. Taylor Green dominates. They were playing a terrible Arkansas Pine Bluff team. If you watch the highlights, it just looks like little kids out there running. They were completely undersized, outmatched, not enough speed to catch anyone. They didn't have enough speed on defense to catch anyone. Every single one of these guys is faster than anybody on their team. It was weird. It looked like a high school team where you got that little DB chasing somebody. Yeah, that's what it looked like. Taylor Green out here doing what he wants. Also rushed for 88 yards. Just looked spectacular. 6'6" and a gazelle. Jaquindon Jackson looking fit, in shape, ready to carry the load. And I hope he's durable because they're going to need him to be. I really like him. Rodney Hill actually got to play. What a scrub. Shout out to him. Blocked me on Twitter. Doesn't want to talk to me. He's mad that I tell the truth about him. It's a whole nother story. Rashad DeBinion told me not healthy, and he looked not healthy. Malachi Singleton's special to me. I hope he gets a lot of playing time this year. I hope they find a way to get him into the lineup. I've been big on Malachi Singleton since he was at North Cobb as a sophomore. I saw him for the first time in the playoffs, and I really liked him. T-slot wide receiver. I don't like any of these wide receivers, to be honest. Luke Hawes is a stud, but most of the wide receivers don't move me. Tyler Broden grew to be 6'7" since he got to college, so there's a mismatch there, and you can't really cover him. I get it. But for the most part, I'm not too motivated by Arkansas's wide receiver room. It's just a matter of them doing their thing. Brad Spence is the leader of this defense. Steven Dix, moving over from Marshall, former Florida State linebacker, transferring in. Pretty good stuff. I really like him. Xavier Nsori, former 5-star recruiting websites you missed. Kelby Rose. Hey, I like Kiwi Rose. Kiwi Rose is a SMU transfer. La Tech transfer, defensive end. Pretty good pressure off the edge. Looks like a decent defender. Former 5-star Jaheim Singletary out here doing his thing. Like, there's a who's who list of players. Landon Jackson obviously should be a threat off the edge, but it doesn't matter. They were playing nobody. They get more work at practice than they do in this game. Practice is much harder than this game, for sure. Toledo and Duquesne. Toledo actually covered the spread. Congratulations. Tucker Gleason went out there, lit it up. Not very accurate, but 3 touchdowns, very impressive. 3 touchdowns, very impressive. Running back by committee. We don't even know what's going on here. Jacquez Stewart is supposed to be the guy. He looked the least explosive out of these guys. And then on the receiving end, Newton is back. Let's get Newton the ball. He's your star receiver. Anthony Torres, your star tight end. Vandross scored the first touchdown of the season. But these are your big 3 here. This is your triumvirate of people that should be getting it done. Let's see it happen. Defensively, they're mean. They're mean defensively. They still gave up 10 points and an early touchdown, but they are mean defensively up front and all that other stuff. So we'll see what happens here. We never bet on Toledo. NC State, like I said, I was on the under to start the season. It was 61 points. I flipped to the spread. It doesn't matter. We covered both. Shout out to Western Carolina. Came out to play. Cole Gonzalez broke for a long run. They looked the part. They look like they can play with NC State. Now, NC State eventually, the talent took over. They got it done. Jordan Waters actually ended up with 2 touchdowns. I said he would get 1. It was a lock. And this is where we'll bring up the props list. And this is unfortunate. You try to get things right, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And here we are. We're looking at props. On week 0, it dominated in spreads. In week 0, and here we are. We don't dominate. We miss everything. And that's unfortunate. Obviously, Darius Taylor didn't play, so that gets voided out. But the rest was all a miss everywhere around. And then you see here Jordan Waters' anytime touchdown was 370. Some people will say, well, what's the big deal? I got to parlay that with some other things. Well, I was on the NC State team total under. They didn't get to 47.5. I knew they wouldn't. Here we are, and now we're looking pretty good, right? If you know how to parlay this stuff. If you can avoid the landmines, you're hitting. And that's another thing. When you look at value bets, these are going to be such things that you can't possibly imagine. I want to say some things to you guys. If I see somebody's betting slip on Discord and they send me a screenshot and they have like 3 of these value bets parlayed together, you are just making donations. I watched the guy, he put all the value bets on one card, parlayed all the purples. It's a value bet, bro. What are you doing? I'm going to be right 60% of the time, 55% of the time, 45% of the time. Do not parlay them. These are straight across bets, and you got to pick the right ones. If you laddered, you see this right here, ladder Jimmy Horn to 70 yards yesterday, you got to be feeling like $1 million right now. If you did it. If you can't do it in your state, then pace yourself and learn how to bet straight across. But I told you guys, Jimmy Horn, that thing looked broken, and it felt good. It really did. And I was screaming out of my mind when he got his 70-yard touchdown. I just knew what Jimmy Horn can do, and I know what the consistencies are. So I also knew what Jordan Waters could do. I believed in his anytime touchdown. It was simple. He's a starting running back. He's a quality running back from Duke. Going to move forward. Going to move the chains. I believe in him. Some others came into play. Played pretty decent. Shout out to him. Concepcion. I was worried about how they were going to use him given all the other receiver additions they had this year. Pretty simple. He's the guy. He's top 2 on this team, and he's not number 2. That guy is amazing. 3 touchdowns, 121 yards. That's after a 1,000-yard season last year. We'll see what happens, but pay attention to these props. These props on Concepcion, if they're somewhere in the 70s or even 80s, you got to take it just off the sheer number of targets they give him. And this team doesn't look to be all that dominant. I do expect them to win a lot of games, but they're not all that dominant. So they might be throwing the ball a lot. And they believe in Grayson McCall's ability to throw. They threw 40 times, guys. They're going to be throwing a lot. So Concepcion's going to get some numbers. It's going to look nice. Justin Jolly going to get some numbers. The rest are going to be inconsistent. But those 2, man, you can believe in those 2. Shout out to Concepcion. He showed out. Ball out, showed out, looked great. I love it. My boy Red Hibbler didn't get any sacks. He's my hidden gem. Didn't get any sacks. Van did. Van got half a sack. Van's a nightmare off the edge. I think they still have really good players. They really do. But that you got to start looking at Concepcion for prop bets. Here we go. I called this one, made it a lock. Missouri beating Murray State by over 48 points. Got it done with a field goal at the end of the game. Didn't let me down. Shout out to Drew Pine for driving them down and getting it done. But the starters, really surprised Marcus Carroll didn't get more carries, more production, and they leaned on Nate Noel. He's kind of more, slippery or whatnot. But maybe they just want to play backups more. I don't know. On the flip side, receivers. Never had Mookie Cooper on my radar at all. Same with Daniel Blood, but congratulations. And then everybody else kind of did what they do. Spread the ball out a lot. I don't think you can bet on a lot of these props for them. Corey Flagg, the Miami transfer, coming over, leading the team in tackles. That really surprises me, but congratulations. He's a solid linebacker, been around for a long time. They got a good team, guys. They got a good team. They got a mean defense. But on the flip side, Murray State just sucks. There's no other way around it. Murray State just sucks. Kansas offensive line looked a little sloppy initially, and then they took off and did their thing. They were able to bring in backups. Devin Neal still got 100 yards on 8 carries. Get the hell out of here, right? And go out there and dominate. I really believe in Luke Grimm. I made a video on Luke Grimm 2 years ago. I've always believed in this 2-star kid from Missouri. Love Luke Grimm as a wide receiver, and he goes out there and dominates. A little badass little white dude. I don't know if he's little. Mello Dotson, one of the best corners in the world. Same with Kobe Bryant, but this is one of the best DBs in the world, I should say. They have really good players. J.B. Brown, once again, the websites tell you he's going to be on the bench. No, this ain't no bench warmer. This is a beast. J.B. Brown, Bowling Green transfer, by the way. Really like this team. The only problem I have with this team is their offensive line. See if they can get it together. Congratulations. Colorado, North Dakota State. So I told you guys all offseason, I was talking about North Dakota State. They're going to cover the spread. They're very competitive. And they obviously covered the spread. But MVPs. I said they're going to cover the spread. I said Colorado's going to cover the spread. So, Rico, you said one thing in one video, you said another in another. But I was pretty consistent with MVPs. I told you, hey, guys, whatever I'm making videos for content is not what I believe in my picks. And my picks were Colorado to cover the spread. They didn't get it done. They really let me down. I want you to know that every season or every week, Colorado's not going to be on the chart every week. They're just not. The reality is their defense is inconsistent. Their coaching is subpar, and they can put out a bunch of points. So you might see them on things like prop charts for particular players and whatnot, but you can't bet on this team to cover the spread or be consistent. They are not anything, and especially in the Big 12. I think I'm looking at the opposition and saying they'll be able to cover the spread no matter what, because you can just walk right through these guys. They have no semblance of defense whatsoever. None. Shedeur Sanders went absolute ham, but what I learned in this game, if I was to be honest with you guys, is I learned that you can add all the wide receivers in the world. There's only one football, and there's only one guy that can really get it done when they need it, and that is Travis Hunter. You might look at Jimmy Horn's 200 yards and be like, yo, Jimmy can do this. They don't believe in Jimmy Horn. That's why they brought in Will Shepard and LeJontay Wester. They don't believe in Jimmy Horn. He drops the ball when he's wide open. He can take it to the house. He just has mental lapses. So, sure. But when you look at this statistical production, you got to remember you're playing an FCS team. That's probably the easiest team you're going to see all season. I'm not joking. It's literally the easiest game you're going to get all season, because you're playing the Big 12 and you're playing quality group of 5 teams. This could be the easiest game all season, and you were in a dogfight. In a firefight, shootout. That's wild. Okay. They should have covered the spread. It's unfortunate. It hurts. And I know some of you guys, fandom makes you go heavier on this. You got to have discipline and not go heavy on any game. Just be consistent. Unless I come in here and I tell you guys, Vegas got it wrong. Not my metric, not my gut feeling, not my assessment. No, Vegas got it wrong. And you heard it twice last year. I might have said it twice last year. You should not have bet this game any heavier than any other game. You should have just been like, oh, we missed there, and dust off and go to the next one, right? And the next one was UNC and Minnesota, and you would have been broken even because we got that right. I'm just letting you know. Nonetheless, congratulations. Colorado's just going to use Travis Hunter as a receiver. He's an NFL wide receiver. He's not an NFL corner in my assessment. So they're just going to use him all day long. And the other receivers are all just kind of fake. So never parlay the over on all the receivers. You don't know which one's going to get the hot hand that day. You just know Travis Hunter is going to be utilized. I wasn't sure if they're going to underutilize him or use him, and apparently they used the hell out of him. So that's the way that's going to go. All right, moving forward. Defensively, Trevor Woods gets 10 tackles, but we know he's not good. He's getting beat all over the field. A lot of these guys' stats don't matter. These guys are getting beat every single time. If your safeties are leading you, your defensive backs are leading you in tackles, that means they're getting a lot of first downs. And this is a team that played undermanned. Look at that. They couldn't even bring in guys off the bench all that much. They played undermanned without their best player, and they still were out there competitive with these dudes. It's bananas. Banana. And by the way, Alejandro Mata is a straight-up liability. Those kicks are gross. They're not good. You see the way North Carolina kicker was making 50-yarders? Who's doing that at Colorado? You got to bring in You got to bring in Feely? Nah. All right, here we go. First one where I can pat myself on the back big time. Coastal Carolina beating Jacksonville State. The books try to tell you it was a coin flip. I looked at my metric, and I told you guys, look, I don't know who's going to score from Chanticleers. I don't know who Coastal Carolina has. I mean, I know the players, but I don't necessarily know how they're going to win this game. But I know they're winning the game because of my talent metric and me looking at the charts and the players. Some things you need to know about real quick. I believe in Javon Simpkins. One of the MVPs reached out to me and said, Rico, you made a video about him. I did. My hidden gem. If you go to YouTube, click on the playlist, look at hidden gems. You will learn about all the star players on every team. My hidden gem for this team was Simpkins. And I know that he wasn't slated to be the starting running back, but I watched tape. I watched this player, and I said, that guy is better than everybody else. And sure enough, he comes out in the season opener and balls out of control, and I think he's going to be a part of the game plan moving forward. Shout out to Simpkins. Vasco, same thing, dominant. What you saw is any team that's going to start Logan Smothers is going to lose. Logan Smothers is the worst starting quarterback in America. I made that very clear. I've watched Logan Smothers. Everybody, even guys on Twitter, they talk about it and they say, oh, we know Logan Smothers, he's underrated. He's not underrated. He's absolutely terrible. But if you go to recruiting websites, they tell you he's a 4-star transfer from Nebraska, dual threat quarterback. None of that matters. You turn on the tape, that dude doesn't belong on a football field. He's gross, guys. He should be telling you stories about how he once played college football. He should be a construction worker somewhere right now telling you he once played college football. He's that bad. There's no way he should be on a college football team. I wouldn't give that kid a scholarship. I wouldn't. And then Tyler Huff on the other side is a transfer, shows up, pretty decent, FCS kid, hard-nosed, and yeah, he still throws 2 interceptions, can't get it done. They don't have a quarterback. They got to go to somebody, they got to go to third string. Told you Anwar Lewis was going to score a touchdown. He didn't, unfortunately. Once you start trailing by an absorbent amount, you're down 31-10 at halftime, you start throwing the ball in the second half and you stop running it. And their identity is to run the ball. And so for them to be at 50-50 or 30 runs and 27 passes is terrible. And I know that they didn't have a chance. Another reason I knew that Jacksonville State wouldn't win this game is because the Chanticleers are going up against a subpar defense. Jacksonville State's best linebacker hit the transfer portal, he's gone. Their best defensive lineman hit the transfer portal, they're gone. Their defensive MVP is at Ole Miss right now, Chris Harding, number 91. So when you watch tape and you look at a team and you're watching their defense and you just subtract all those great players, go look for plays when those great players weren't in. You won't see a single play from last season when those guys weren't in. That means you don't even have a clue how bad they're going to be. Well, I do. And that's why I picked Coastal Carolina. And I didn't just take the spread. I took the money line. This is an underdog. I said, I'm taking money line. That's what you guys understand. When I do this, and I go in here and I tell you guys, value bet, it's a money line of plus 114. I don't care about the spread at this point. I know that Coastal Carolina's a better team than the opposition. I've studied the rosters. Just hear me out, man. Just trust me, guys. Trust me. I'm going to be right over 50% of the time. I was right 100% of the time when I talked about my metric and me evaluating the talent of the roster. Look at the locks. It's Colorado versus North Dakota State. That's just, okay, they should be able to beat an FCS team by 10 points. They didn't. The next one, Missouri should be beating Murray State by 50 points because they're that much better. Okay, they got it done. The next one, and none of this has anything to do with me evaluating the talent of these teams. It's just me knowing the rosters and the players. NC State's going to play vanilla because they got Tennessee next week. They're still trying to figure some things out. Western Carolina's going to play like it's their Super Bowl. A number of reasons why I was on Western Carolina. And they got it done. I believe in the under here. They didn't get it done. Nowhere in here did I talk about, well, I did an evaluation of the talent on the rosters, and this team's better than this team. I think Vegas got this wrong. Nowhere did I say that except for these two right here. And that's when you guys got to pay attention. MVPs. That's what you're paying for. That's what you're paying me for. Okay? Is right here. When I say, oh, wait, Vegas has these guys underdogs? Oh, no. They got it wrong. They're not underdogs. They should be favorites by a certain amount of points, and we should have to be picking against the spread. This shouldn't happen. And then these two were feel-good stories of me picking FCS teams to beat FBS teams. Okay? But this right here, this was metric. This is metric-driven. Assessment-driven. Trust me. It's going to be like that all season. UA beating Alcorn. I told you they would. I told you it was not even going to be close. Jacob Zeno's a beast. Way to figure it out. I don't know Lee Beebe that well, but I know Isaiah Jacobs is a stud. Shout out to Lee Beebe for getting done. Amani Godwin. Hey, get some carries, bro. LSU transfer. Pretty good player. Cam Shanks. Going to go back and watch this game on what day is it? This is the Sun Belt? No, this is American. I'll watch it the day I got to watch their conference. Go back and watch. I go back and watch all these games during the week. So I spent all 7 days watching these games, just so you're aware if I missed the game. Mensa got the start for Tulane. They decided to start a true freshman, and it looks like they got it right. Redshirt freshman. Mensa just goes out there, doesn't miss, 2 passes? 2 touchdowns? Looks the part, looks great. Kai Horton's probably killing himself. I shouldn't say that. He's probably beating himself up over the fact that he didn't get in the game, unfortunately. Makai, especially in a blowout, you want to get in the game. Makai Hughes, I thought he would lead the nation in rushing. Doesn't look good. Should have gotten a lot more production off of 14 carries against a substandard team. That's unfortunate for him. It's unfortunate because I really like him. Wide receivers, Mario Williams, USC transfer, showed out, balled out. Keith Brown, balling out. Like, these guys are good wide receivers. Good wide receiver room. Look like they're gonna be pretty good in conference play. I'm looking over some stuff real quick. I'm sorry, I'm processing as I talk. Nonetheless, shout out to Tulane for winning 52-0. Covered the spread, obviously. Tulsa, Northwestern State. I told you guys in the free episode or the free podcast right before the game started yesterday afternoon. I always do a podcast at 5 p.m. Eastern. I talked about Tulsa playing against one of the worst teams in America, and then they come out and they're trailing to start the game. Then Kirk Francis got it under control. Kirk Francis is the starter, only guy you see in the game, only guy throwing passes. Love Kirk Francis all day. Lost his receivers, don't care. Lost his skill players to the transfer portal, doesn't matter. The guy I believe in is Braylon Presley down here. Got to get him the ball at all costs. There he is, 1 carry, 19 yards for a touchdown. His brother, Brennan Presley, plays at Oklahoma State. Braylon is a legend in high school football, never lost a game, won 4 state titles in a row. I really, really, really believe in Braylon. He's just undersized. He's just little. Nonetheless, shout out to Kirk Francis getting the reins. This is a local kid going out there leading his team, 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. Northwestern State sucks. So I wasn't that impressed. I was just glad that Tulsa got off the mat and put up 27 in the second quarter. That's the way you do it. I'm sure that halftime locker room was pretty stoked, pretty pumped up. So shout out to them. We'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on them the rest of the way. Punt return for a touchdown, kickoff return for a touchdown. Pretty sweet. Special teams went out there and dominated. Northwestern State, you need a new special teams coach. Utah shuts out Southern Utah. I don't know if Southern Utah ever got close to scoring. I got to watch the game. But I can tell you that Cam Rising came through with 5 touchdowns. Not a ton of production, but 5 touchdowns on 10 completions. It's bananas. It means you can't cover Brant Kuthi here. 3 touchdowns, 4 receptions. That dude's always open. Brant Kuthi's going to be a stud. Stanley, go out there and doing his thing. Dorian Singer, I told you he's not that great, and we'll see what happens. Parks is there. I'm surprised Lyons got on the field. Congratulations. I don't think he's a very good player. That's just my assessment. Running backs, Stanley, 6 carries. They're not really running the ball. They're spreading it around, doing their thing. I'm still not sure what their offensive identity is, but I know their defensive identity. Dominate. They are mean up front. Van's mean. They got a ton of guys mean. Their front 7 is going to give the Big 12 problems. Forget Southern Utah. So congratulations to Utah. Once again, I told you North Carolina is a better team. I believe in Minnesota and what they're doing, but I believe North Carolina is a better team, better coach team, doing things better. And they go out there, and Max Johnson, my God. Max Johnson played terrible. Best thing that happened to him was the injury, unfortunately. But your knees aren't supposed to touch in a football game. And his knee's knocked. He's probably done. Don't know, but that they weren't supposed to go that way. It's unfortunate. Connor Harrell gets off the bench, stinks it up, doesn't play great. But good enough. You have a running back in Omar and Hampton. You got to give him the ball over and over and over. If you guys get a chance to take a prop, you take Omar and Hampton yards. Omar and Hampton yards. Omar and Hampton yards. He's very explosive, very good, and he's going to get those yards. The offensive line's actually pretty decent out there dominating. Unfortunately for Minnesota, they showed up. They used Marcus Major. Somebody said, the Discord server, man. We got a homer in there. And he's like, he looks really good. Bro, 3.7 yards a carry is not really good. 3.7 yards a carry is gross. That is not happening in today's football. Not good enough, and especially if you can't get it done when it really matters. Max Brosmer played bad. No other way around it. Did not get it done. Daniel Jackson is still a good wide receiver, still getting it done. Elijah Spencer, let's get him in the rotation. Former leading receiver from Charlotte 2 years ago, and we'll see what happens. They need to use him a little bit. I hope they do. Jordan Newman actually gets to play because of all the injuries at running back, but he's like 5th string at running back, just so we're clear. North Carolina receivers, how disappointing is this? Nate McCollum gets 1 carry and 1 reception. Nate McCollum, to me, is a weapon, and they didn't use him, and that's why week 1 games are difficult to do with prop bets. You don't know what they're going to use or who they're going to utilize in moments. All they did was go to J.J. Jones all game long. He might have had the most targets of anybody in the world. It was insane. If you're going to bet on something, bet on J.J. Jones targets. Go to Prize Picks and pick his receptions or something. I don't know. Omar and Hampton obviously getting the screen game going, but very terrible passing. They're going to have to figure that out. They're going to have to figure it out in the next week or two. One thing they don't need to figure out is their defense. Ritzy's been on this team for a long time. He's very senior Latin, very physically developed young man, gets 3 sacks. He's not even the best player. Best player is Rucker. Rucker goes out and gets a sack. That's consistent. Rucker's going to have double-digit sacks this season. And you're playing against – this is not an FCS team. So when you see stats like this, it's so much more impressive because you did it against an FBS team, a Power 4 team. I'm really impressed with the defensive stats and how they came through and did their thing. Elijah Huzzy is still as great as ever. Elijah Huzzy's covering punts. He's a punt returner. He's a DB. Elijah Huzzy's everything. You watch the tape. But on the flip side, Minnesota's defense was competitive. You're holding a Power 4 team to less than 20 points, you should win the game. If you can hold somebody to less than 20 points, you should win the game. But shanking a field goal when it really matters is a problem. It's unfortunate. And they come out there and they don't get it done. Shout out to Justin Wally, by the way. Looked pretty good. Nice pick. Running back 70 yards. Probably need to run back 71 yards. I don't know. But congratulations to me. I got it right. Shout out to all the haters. North Carolina wins. ULM. I told you guys ULM's going to win this game. There was no doubt in my mind. There's a commenter on YouTube letting me know I don't know what I'm talking about. That ULM was going to, or that Jackson State was going to win. And Colorado's going to win by 40. Because he knows those teams better than me. It's apparent he's a fan of only one demographic or one shade of color or whatever his agenda is. It has nothing to do with me. You guys are out of touch with reality. Nonetheless, ULM comes out. I knew they had a rushing attack that they believed in. This is what Vincent does, Coach V does, the head coach. And General Booty goes out there and does some things, the Oklahoma transfer. But, man, did they just go out there and steamroll them. Congratulations to ULM. You look great doing it. Why are there no defensive stats kept? We'll have to figure that out. But go back and watch the game. I'll watch it on whenever I'm watching, I think, the Sun Belt. Illinois. Luke Altmaier looked amazing. You're playing Eastern Illinois, and they don't have Tony Romo. He looked amazing. And congratulations to him. 4 touchdowns on only 5 incompletions. Fagan is a giant running back who's going to get all the yards, move the chains, and look like a beast. Congratulations to him. His defense, bro, pitching a shutout. Very impressive. Nothing here really impressed me or surprises me other than Zachary Franklin, only 2 receptions, 28 yards. I need to see more production out of him. We expect him to go ham, and he never does. And that's just because he didn't play at Ole Miss last year, and while he was at UTSA the 3 years before. That's the nation's leading returning career receiver. Career production, he's the number 1 guy in America. Nobody's got more production, more catches, more yards, anything in college football right now. And he's doing this shit. 2 for 28. It's unfortunate. Defensively, I'm going to go back and watch this game. I'm going to be very interested in some of the DBs. Obviously, I've been studying these teams and watching the players. I want to see how they got their shutout, what led to it, what enabled it. Was it just poor play over here? Was it just poor play? But I see 2 interceptions. I see them getting shut down. Nobody averaged over 4 yards a carry. Like, I'm encouraged by this. I'm encouraged. Shout out to MJ Flowers for trying his best. Obviously, Rutgers and Howard was the first game of the season. I said take the under on a live talking. It didn't work out. Ethan Kaliakmanis got on a roll, threw 3 touchdowns, getting the ball to Manungai the way they did. I'm not that impressed, y'all. I wasn't that impressed. It's just a grueling game for them. But there was lanes for Howard to run through. Not just Scroggins, but anybody. They had lanes. They had things going on. Even little James, or Edgerrin James' son, he looked decent. Yeah, they looked like Swiss cheese. Obviously, Miller eventually gets it done. None of these passes were really down the field. They were like crossing routes and just nonsense. I didn't really see any real vertical passing threat. And it's because you have a quarterback that can't get it done like that. Shout out to their defense. They do hit hard. They do tackle, but they didn't look that dominant to me. Don't let this score fool you. I didn't feel it was that dominant. And the last one, Sacramento State. Had it, man. We had the lead at half. We had it right. Going into the 4th quarter, we had it right. And then the wheels fall off in the 4th. And you allow 21 points, and you look like you don't know what you're talking about, Rico. I knew what I was talking about for 3 quarters. Yeah, you look bad. San Jose State, you look bad. And I don't like it. Nick Nash, obviously 6'3" wide receiver, former quarterback, converted to wide receiver. Getting it done. They couldn't cover him, couldn't stop him. That's wild. Justin Lockhart back from injury, missed all last season. Congratulations. I don't know what to say, man. It's unfortunate. I'm hurting in my soul. Shout out to Jared Gibson. Does follow me on TikTok. I believe in you, man. I believe in the whole team. Did not get it done. That's a shame. And shout out to Lamont as well. Follows me on TikTok too. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. So that's the results. Once again, there are games tonight. I will be talking about them at the 5 o'clock Eastern podcast. MVPs, you will be getting a video when I get home from the gym. I'm already dressed. I'm going to the gym right now. And I'll be coming back. I'll make a new chart for Friday. Pick these games against the spread. Pick the winners. Pick prop bets and everything you need to do for tonight. I'll do my best, MVPs. But, yeah, pace yourself. Make the right decisions. Shout out to everybody for rocking with me. I appreciate you guys watching this. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all.